Hi, I'm Dr. Alvarez with Endobariatric.com, and today I wanted to interview a very special person. Traci is one of our former patients, and she's here visiting us, already nice and thin, looking spectacular, stunning.
Thank you.
And we wanted to we'll chit-chat a little bit about the journey, transformation.
Yeah.
What does it involve? And I know something patients can benefit out of.
Absolutely. So I appreciate the opportunity to do this. I'm super excited about it.
Yes.
This is the first time I've been back since December 28th of 2018, which is the day I came down here and was sleeved. I came by myself. I've been fortunate enough to have several friends, colleagues who've reached out to me over the past couple of years, and I think I'm here today accompanying a good friend of mine who I think is either 19 or 20 of the different referrals and folks who've reached out to me. You're getting a whole lot of Texas lawyers that are coming to visit you.
Yes, please.
That's who I work with. So
we have recently done, probably the last year, a lot of lawyers in the state from the state of Texas. A lot of lawyers recently, and well, you're a lawyer, and you get in touch with a lot of people.
I like to say I'm a recovering former lawyer. I went over from the dark side, and I get to help people solve their problems. Not so different from what you do.
Yeah,
they get to walk out and feel good about themselves and put it in back and behind them. I was doing that when I came down here to be sleeved. And I always just have people tell me, well, you don't really need it. You're really not that heavy. I think our perception, particularly in the U.S., is, the rates of obesity and so forth and so on in the U.S. are so high. And for me, it was a way to change something. The things I used to do before I was 40 weren't working. The scale was going up. It just wasn't working. Wasn't working the same way. I had a lot of thyroid issues. I had a lot of other medication issues. Had a history of some pretty severe clinical depression that has resolved itself in many ways. I'm no longer on any medication, as you probably hear many of your folks say. But it wasn't just about the health issues for me.
So Traci, what do you think about the correct, not just the physical aspect, not just losing? How much weight have you lost?
I lost a total of right at 55 pounds.
All right.
I was one of the lower BMI sleevers, quote unquote.
Yes. And for some people that are, let's say, maybe 250, 300 pounds, 350 pounds, maybe those patients that are 350 pounds that get the exact surgery you got done by me, same technique done by me, maybe they'll lose those 50 pounds in the first month or so.
Right. Right.
So lower BMI doesn't mean that lower BMIs don't get the benefit, which is a very important topic today.
Absolutely.
Lower BMI patients get a lot of benefit, but I want you to tell us a little bit about not just the physical aspect. What else has changed?
It's not just about losing the weight. It's about losing the baggage that comes along with the weight. It's about I've learned so much about myself, about why I had the weight, about why I eat to deal with the emotional part of it. I was very much an emotional eater. So the past 2 years has been a lot of a journey. Losing the weight was the easy part. Mm-hmm. Learning myself and what, I'm going to use the word triggers, were what stress triggers were. I can kind of tell myself, we've all talked about slider foods, right? Yes. I mean, I notice if I'm stressed out in a mediation or something, I'll notice myself start, wanting to munch on something. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn a lot about transforming those habits and patterns into healthier ones. For me at first, it was a lot of cardio. It was my way of putting my earphones on and getting in there and doing things to help deal with the day-to-day stresses of life. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's also about being very aware. For me though, it was about, I get to be the person now on the outside that I've always been on the inside. And it was about having the freedom and the confidence to step out of my comfort zone. Change is hard for everyone, right? Change is a big deal. And so the physical part just took that out of the equation. It took that out of the equation. So I was free to go do all kinds of other things. Since that time, I'm working on, as we've talked about, kind of while we're here, I'm working on launching a lifestyle blog for women, focused on being your best self, whatever that looks like at any age.
Phenomenal.
Right? And so for me, that was my son actually left for boot camp 10 days for the U.S. Coast Guard, 10 days after my surgery. And I was a single mom for 15 years. And so all of a sudden I found myself with an empty nest. I went through this surgery and I'm like, what do I do with myself? I spent almost 20 years being somebody's mom, and that was my identity, right? Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden I got the opportunity to go explore and do all kinds of different things. So I'm developing a lot of content for this blog. As part of that, I've gotten to travel quite a bit, even during the pandemic, which has been really interesting to learn how different areas, parts of the U.S., parts of Mexico are handling that. And I've met so many amazing people along the way. So it's really been about the people. As an interesting story, and aside, you'll find this one interesting. Back in July, I'm at a resort in Mexico, down in Playa del Carmen. And I meet this lady at the swimming pool and her husband. And we start talking, and somehow it comes up, and she's like, oh, your swimsuit's so cute, your bikini, and whatever. I never bought bikinis before, right? And she says, you just look so great. I can't believe you're 47 years old. I said, oh, well, let me tell you about this place I went. Let me tell you about this doctor. Well, next thing I know, it turns out she lives an hour away from me. I live in Austin, Texas. She's about an hour north of me. And on December 28th of this past year, she came and was sleeved by you on the 2-year anniversary of the date I was. I made a new friend. We stay in regular touch, things like that. So I just think, much like I do and what I do for both a living, to pay my bills day to day, and what I'm trying to do with this blog, I think you bring people together, and I think that's what it's about. Mm-hmm. And I think it gives people the encouragement to make whatever change that is in their life, whatever that might be for them, whether it's a change in career, whether it's a change in relationships, whether it's getting out of other toxic situations, be it work-wise or otherwise. Mm-hmm. For me, people look at me now, and when I show them my picture, they say, that's not you. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I promise, it's me.
And your before and after is amazing.
Yeah, I just, and I think I'd sent you one earlier today. My son likes to tell me, Mom, those are like Sports Illustrated pictures. I'm like, well, I'm flattered, sweetie. They're really not. But at 47 years old, I did a swimsuit shoot on the beach with people looking, and I was not embarrassed about it. And that is pretty amazing for someone like me that fought the weight issues and all of those kind of issues my whole life. So
congratulations.
It's been amazing.
The achievement. So what made you, like, being in Austin, Texas, state capital, being a lawyer, what made you like say, well, I'm gonna go to Mexico and do this, the hell with it, let's go,
So I'm co-founder of a group of female attorneys, judges, and mediators throughout the state of Texas called Hell on Heels, which sounds evil, but we're actually a really great group, and I call it the Anti-Mean Girl group. We are all about encouraging and uplifting other women, as opposed to perhaps the legal culture before was a little more competitive among women. And so we do a continuing education seminar every year in Cancun. And so we were hosting that. And a dear friend of mine had said, I'm overweight, I'm miserable, I've decided to go have this surgery. And I'm thinking, well, I love you the way you are. I don't think about that. And she said, let me tell you about this Dr. A, and Endobariatric. And I sort of blew it off at first, and I thought no big deal. But the more we talked, the more interested I was. I learned that she had researched you for about 2 years. And she said, I'm going. And she is one of the most challenging people I work with, in that she's very... she worries a lot, and she's very conscientious, and that can be a good and bad thing.
Yes.
And I knew that if she was going to go do it, that I was good, because you were golden. Yeah, I'm a little more risk. I'm a little more of a risk taker. I'm like, oh, let's just go see what happens, right? You only live once, not her. So I knew, and so I got the idea, and the more I looked into it, and the more I talked to a couple of other friends who'd had the procedure, who said their only regret was they didn't do it sooner. I said, that's the way to go. I was a little anxious about coming to Mexico. Of course. I won't lie, but I knew enough people who had done so that I thought, and I'll be honest, I watched your Instagram ad nauseum daily. Like, I know your routine. This is why I know what time you tell Alexa to set your alarm. I mean, I knew all that, right? It was cool. But and that's when I decided to do it. And it was definitely more. It was more cost effective. It it definitely worked with my schedule as far as, do I take 6 months and try to get it insured or cover it in the U.S. and things like that? I knew that there was quality medical care down here. And as soon as I saw the facility and saw your educational videos and things like that, I was sold. And I said, let's do it. So there I was, not knowing. I did look back over my messages to Brandy in those couple of weeks. I was looking at those. And I did say, I think I'm the only person in the world that this is never going to work for. What am I going to do? I gained a pound this week. And this was like 2 weeks into it, right? It was hilarious.
That exact thing, that exact question, I know it crosses every single mind, every patient's mind, before they, even the night before surgery, even probably once you're at the pre-op area, at the stretcher there, and you're just like, will this work for me?
Right.
And it happened last night. We were at the meet and greet. I was talking to today's patients last night, and they were like, I go, yes, any question? Will this work? I go, yes, it will work. And I know it's, for a lot of patients, they've pretty much done everything, tried everything. A lot of stuff that is proven not to have sustainable results. And I told her, it works. It works because you're going to be eating a very low-calorie diet a day. You have an emergency brake always on that's called sleeve that will tell you, hey, you're full, that's enough. It's always on, and that way, since it's always on, you always have the results. It's not like you have your sleeve in, and then all of a sudden I'm going to take your sleeve away from you, and here comes the weight back on. So. It crosses patients' mind a lot. But that exact thing that you just mentioned, will it work? Yes.
And it does, because it gives you, and people say a tool and you don't understand it when you're in the early stages and you're reading in all these different support groups. It's a tool, it's a tool, it's a tool. It gave me the tool to learn and live life of what I've always considered a naturally thin person or naturally healthy weight person to live, because it gives you that internal barometer. And it changes a little bit, okay? It changes a little bit. I approached my initial 30 days as not about weight loss, but this is a medical procedure. I'm healing a medical procedure. Your requirements or guidelines for that first month are, I might use the word stringent because I think that has a negative connotation. Yours are very much geared toward, in my opinion, healing.
Yes.
That. It's a healing, medically needed thing. When I see some of these other groups that were like, oh, well, I ate, I don't know, popcorn or something stupid. Yes. And I just shake my head at people and I just move on, roll my eyes and scroll on, because I'm just not even going to go there. But I didn't think about it as weight loss at those first 30 days. I thought about it as, I'm going to follow this because I need to heal what's going on in here. And I had outstanding, I lost almost half my weight in the first 30 days. The remainder happened in the next 7 months, 6-7 months, at an average of anywhere between 2 to 6 pounds a month. And there would be the stalls, and my body would adjust, and then it'd drop down. And then it would adjust and drop down. And I just got used to that. And looking back now, that was a healthy way to do it.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of loose skin. I mean, I have more than I would love. I'm 47 years old. Things just aren't lifted up where they used to be at 25. I get it. But that's why God made plastic surgeons and Botox. Right? I mean, that's just how it rolls. But I wouldn't change a thing about it. I wouldn't change how I did it.
So how about losing sizes? How did that go?
That was interesting. We were just talking about that on the van on the way down. Obviously, I went down a ton that first month. About every 10 pounds was a size. I started out somewhere between a size 16, 18 US. I now wear a size 4 to 6. It's very strange to me. Still, during the process, I would go into a store and I would go to the size 12 rack or whatever, and I'd try it on, and the sales lady would be like, no, you need it.
Don't work.
It takes time. And when someone handed me a pair of size 4 jeans, I laughed and I said, I'm not putting those on. Those aren't going to work. And she said, sweetie, the others are falling off of you. And they were. And so it went quickly. It was a very, that's the fun part of this. I'll be honest, the shopping was the fun part. I had, as women, we all have our issues, obviously, and a lot of us have struggled with our weight our whole lives. Yeah. And I did. And I recently was visiting my son in Virginia. We were shopping at a little boutique, and the sales girl looked at him and said, "Oh, your sister," which he didn't love at 21, I get it. But she goes, "Everything looks so great on her. She can just wear anything." I can't tell you how many times throughout my life I've said that about a thin friend or who I thought was this cute, beautiful model, thin, right?
She can wear anything.
She can wear anything. I hate her, you know. And I'm like, wow, that's me.
That's me now.
And a lot of times you still look in the mirror and you think, oh, I'm having a fat day, or I could, you know, I'm very aware of my body now, which I think is probably a good thing. I think it helps me give a barometer that,
balance.
You know, okay, you know, I mean, my life has gone on. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I never ate a cupcake. I mean, I have. But I balance, right? So then I'm back to, you know, the next day, I'm back to making sure I'm up in the fluids a little bit, making sure, you know, I've got the healthy proteins and some veggies in. And it's about balance and moderation. And so that's very freeing to be able to live life that way.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Phenomenal.
I'm enjoying it.
Phenomenal. Just this morning, I was discharging a patient in the lower BMI range. Yesterday, we did a couple of lower BMI patients, and she asked me precisely that this morning. How's it going to be with the weight loss and everything? I told her, yes, the first month I'm not interested in you losing the whole 9 yards. So I'm just want you to focus on the healing, but don't worry about it. The weight will come off.
Absolutely.
And lower BMI patients will enjoy, not that higher BMI patients won't, but it's more noticeable seeing the change in the sizes. Then it stalls a bit, you lose the weight size, and then one or the other, and it goes that way on lower BMI patients. But precisely today, I told her what you're mentioning today. This morning, I was with her. And what happens when you've referred 19 or 20 patients our way, and what's the reaction when all of a sudden you say, well, this hospital that they focus on this, or this doctor that focuses on this procedure, is in Mexico?
So that's interesting, because I was actually going to ask you the same question. What do I say to people? Let me tell you what I actually got where I cut and pasted in all the different online groups particularly, and I say that for me, this was a 5-star VIP experience. I feel like I got better medical care here than anywhere ever I've been in the U.S., ever. It was very much almost a 1-to-1, even with the nursing and things, and I came alone. So I didn't have somebody to go call the nurse if I needed anything. They were just there. If I pressed a button, it wasn't waiting 15 or 20 minutes like you do in U.S. hospitals. So that right there gave me the peace of mind. I originally, part of the reason I chose this as well was it was the proximity. You know, I thought, well, if anything happens to me,
you're close.
You know, my family can get to me. I'm not that far away. Okay, it's a 4-hour drive. We're good. But to me, we're right across the border. So what? Right? It just takes you a little time to go through the checkpoint. I mean, that's it. To me, it's no different. And I feel like the care is excellent. I feel like, you know, in Mexico, you don't have to quite worry about as much as the managed care issues that a lot of your probably U.S. counterparts have to deal with between the insurance companies and things like that.
Oh, the insurance companies, oh my goodness.
Exactly. Yes. And I like the fact that a qualified physician who's an expert in their field is able to make decisions with and for their patients here. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that. And I think you've created a winning combination. And attorneys are the most skeptical people you'll meet. I deal with them every day, trust me. And it has been amazing to hear their responses, you know.
Once they go back.
Once they go back and they're done. And the neatest thing for me, and I can't imagine how it feels like with you, I mean, as many as you've done, but the neatest thing for me is when people, I have the privilege of them sending me their before and after pictures, because that's hard to put yourself out there with that a lot of times, with those before pics. When I see that and they say to me, I can't thank you enough, you inspired me. You were authentic, you were vulnerable, you were real, and you shared your story, not just the physical part of it, but the emotional and the mental part of it and what you went through to get here. And that is, to me, worth every minute of putting myself out there on social media and otherwise telling my story.
Yes. Well, I really appreciate you being so, number one, so honest, being so transparent, not just to audience that sometimes need the hear this.
Right.
To hear this, to be able to be open and help other people, and to transfer that experience on your journey, the before and after, the transformation physically, emotionally, mentally.
Absolutely.
And to be able to help other people that are struggling just being overweight.
Sure.
So I really appreciate what you've done. I really appreciate the time taken to do this.
I appreciate you. I'm super excited.
And anything else you'd like to add?
So I do have one question that comes up repeatedly with me, and I'll be honest with you. I had no problems afterwards. I sailed through it. No issues, no anything. And the question I inevitably get is, what do we do about follow-up care when we're back in the States? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, because I didn't need any follow-up care. I mean, if I had a question, I messaged you and you were on it, or your staff, and you responded.
Yes.
I had very few.
Here goes. That's why we mainly, number one, normally we just focus on this procedure.
Right.
Normally, this procedure, as you mentioned, is pretty much maintenance-free. We do have, as you may recall, we do have a special online system that we built throughout years and years and years of treating patients that are from out of town. And nowadays, 90-95% of my patients come from out of town. They're coming from the States, from Canada, from Europe, from other continents and countries. So we needed this special online follow-up system that we have, and that system is designed where every day that the patient has to do something, every day that we hit a milestone, every day there's something to be done, or to remind the patient to do something. I'm going to say it's even better than just being present with the doctor.
Absolutely.
Because we have built it up perfectly, just everything that the patient needs to know.
Absolutely.
That day. We're going to email that patient. I'm going to email that patient. Patient will receive the instructions, touch base, how they're doing, everything. At any given point, the patients can hit reply, and I get a copy on my phone.
Wow.
And the coordinator gets a copy. So if I'm busy in the operating room doing 4 surgeries or 5 surgeries, coordinator will be on top of it really quick. And once I'm done, I fill in the gap,
Gotcha.
So they always have access to me. You know this. I mean, they can always email me. The patients have my direct email. Comes directly to my phone. So I personally, that's why we run we top it off at 4 or 5 procedures a day. We don't do more. I could do more. We could do with the whole. We've got 3 operating rooms designed for laparoscopic surgeries. We could be doing 10, 14 procedures a day. We don't, because I've got time for this.
Right.
I've got time to be with my patients. I've got time to do rounds, check on them. I personally discharge patients. I personally greet them out the door.
I know.
And it gives me time to sit down my computer and see what came in, who needs a little reinsurance, who needs a little help, who needs a tip or so to help them continue their journey.
Well, and I think that is probably what sets you apart in many ways, is the patient-centered focus and philosophy. Yes. And for me, that was huge. I've never felt, to this day, Brandy has even become a friend. I mean, she, I'll pick up the phone, text her, be like, hey, sister, what have we got here? She is a huge asset to you. And I think the fact that your staff, from what I can tell, especially, your operating team and everything else, you've got a lot of longevity there. And I think that makes a huge difference. It's amazing.
It's a great team. I'm blessed to have every single just person in my team is just a great asset.
Yeah.
And I tell patients at the meet and greet, it's not just me. Me by myself, I won't be able to do the magic. I build it up. Yes, I build it up, but I can't do the magic by myself.
Yeah.
I need the magician who's the anesthesiologist that just makes it feel for the patient like a blink of an eye. And for the patient, it is a blink of an eye. I need my other surgeons, my wingmen, to be there with me. I need my nurses. I mean, everybody is just right there and makes it just a really good building center for focused on this procedure.
Well, and no question, I know for me, one of the most, when people ask me, one of the most notable things for me, again, being by myself, was I felt like there was always a doctor coming. I mean, I'm like, I couldn't even count how many times a doctor was coming in and checking on me. And I mean, the morning of, and it, and I'm so sad. I left my medal at home.
Okay,
and I'm like, I won the medal. And I'm like, and I had to laugh. I'm like, okay, I won the medal even above the guy who was like 6'5" and probably 450 pounds. But here you go. I never win anything, and that's what I win. But that's okay. It was. I ran across it the other day in my jewelry box, and I was cleaning things out. And I thought, nope, I'm not cleaning that one out. That's one of those things that just reminds you of where you've been and where you are now and where you're heading. Yeah. Where you're heading.
Well, congratulations. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here again. Thank you for the trust. Number one, with your case, you came by yourself. Nowadays, about 50% of our patients, half of our patients that come normally are by themselves.
Yeah.
I personally ring their family members once we're done. Once I take out my gloves and finish the procedure, I'll personally give the family members a call, let them know everything is good, that the patient's good. But you came by yourself. Thank you for the trust in coming that first step.
Jumping in.
And then thank you even more for the trust in sending friends or family members down with me, to let me perform and craft their gastric sleeve.
Absolutely. Anytime, I'll keep it up.
Yeah. Well, Traci, thank you so much for being here.
This was awesome.
And this is great.
Yeah.
And I know we're helping people. I know with this, you are contributing to helping patients who are struggling just being overweight. And as you mentioned, they also want to be the person they're inside.
Yeah. Being able to be the person on the outside that you've always known you were on the inside is a pretty amazing place to be in life.
Beautiful.
And I think I'm lucky to be there.
Beautiful. Thank you again.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you, guys.